All right, guys. This is May 22nd on a Saturday, and I will be going over my week this week. Going over some of my trades. Also, if you guys have any questions during the stream, type in the chat, in the Twitch chat. I'll be happy to answer them. So, that helps with your trading, or, if you want to know more about my style, any questions, any questions, great. Being curious is very good. So so for this week, on the start of this week, I actually had a pretty bad day. I was red, I think. Actually, I think I was green. I was starting off green, and then I kind of overdid it. There were and then I had a loss of like probably a couple grand. I went back into red, and it just kind of spiraled back. It's spiraled down until I stopped until the afternoon, during around 12 or 1 o'clock. I was down about maybe 25 to 30 grand. And I told myself, well, this is not a good time to trade, so I'm gonna hop off. But people, I kind of got myself like, oh, this stock look like it's about to go squeeze and stuff like that. So what, the choice that, you know, I had two choices: either go off, do something else, forget about trading, I'm already down 30 grand, or continue to trade and try to make it back, right? Well, done me, idiot. Had to my noob side took over me and said, okay, well, you gotta make your losses back. It's lunchtime. What are you doing? And I lost another 10 grand, so I'm down just over 40 grand. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's enough damage. So um, my account was, I kind of lost all my gains from the I think last week, so in just one day. So yeah, that was that day. I had a really rough start to the weekend, but you know, I after I was done trading, I didn't let my loss get a hold of me. I I still did my daily stuff. I still worked out. I still you know still conquered the day, right? I don't want my loss to bring me down. I want to be still control my day. Um, so that was the thing, and I didn't let that. I just wanted, and then the next day I wanted to refresh. Forget about my big loss and just focus again, and not do the same mistake yesterday. And every single day green again. So let's see. So in May, so first day I lost just 41 grand. The day after that, made 4.2k, so just over 4k. Then just under 7k on Wednesday, um, 5k on Thursday, and then just under 10k on Friday. Um, slowly, and that's the thing, when you have a big loss, sometimes it could carry over to the next day and next day over, and it just kind of has a domino kind of effect. But I didn't let that stop me. When I lost 40 grand that day, I wasn't frustrated at all. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. I asked myself, can I do something about it? No. So don't worry. Can I do something about it? Yes. Okay. Well, don't worry, right? So it all leads to the same answer, right? If I can't do nothing about it, I'm not going to worry about it. Don't worry about it. And if I could do something about it, well, you know, then don't worry, right? Um, so yeah, I'm still kind of pretty I call this, I think this week, even though I'm red, I think I'm gonna still, I think I did pretty good. Stay consistent. Just that one day wasn't really really wasn't great. I think that's my biggest loss so far in my trading career in a single day. So that's a new thing in the books. Now I'm gonna go over my trading. So from on the first day when I lost, 40 grand, I had made some decent good trades in the morning, but then my mistake was I continued to trade after or towards lunchtime. Which lunchtime, like if you guys can see here, what was a good example? Let's see. So I want to show you guys what I traded. Can't remember from Monday, but let's see. Monday was 17th. So let's go to the 17th. All right. So okay. So we had some plays like Mosey. This one, I had an idea on Mosey one time. Let's see, where is that day? So over here. This was gonna be an inside bar play. I actually played this right here. Um, and I saw this coming back up, so I added on these dips right here, just slowly accumulating, and then I was like, okay, over, if it gets over $4, this thing could definitely go. It definitely did go. It had a nice push. First push, dip, and then pushed again. And my idea was, okay, this is inside bar play. On the third day, it will, see 5, 6, and $7. You know, in this case, this day, I guess it wasn't ready. But I still had the idea. Well, what do you know? Next day it did what it did the same thing I said yesterday, but it just wasn't time. So yeah, I was pretty frustrated. I actually did play Mosey again on the next day. I bought on these dips just over $4, and this was on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, I bought right here, and then I sold some, around in the low $4, and just kind of seeing where it would go. And it just kept going up. I actually chased this a little bit, and made like 15 grand on this. It's a very quick scalp. I bought like in the 520s and sold the rest just around 570, just at this top right here. And I think this is the day where I lost most of you know, my gains, or I had like a decent, good amount of gains on Tuesday. I had around 20 grand in profits. But I overtraded this. I made a decent, gamble on this, and I made it through. But I bought these dip continuing to, think, oh, this thing is gonna go to, 6, 7 bucks. And it kept, it was very choppy over here. So I kept, on these, and I kept going big on these things, on these dips, and it was easily chopping me out. So I would have, like, every time it would stop me out, I would lose probably 3 to 5 grand in every single trade. And I did that like multiple times. And I was like, you know what? It's done. I'm not touching this thing anymore because I just made a good profit on this, and I lost it all just from playing into this chop, dip buying, thinking this thing will halt up again, just like leads and stuff like that. But in this case, it didn't work out. It would have worked out right here. I only went pretty small right here, and then I actually got out pretty early. And yeah, this thing really, kind of frustrated me. I'm like, I had the same idea yesterday, but why does it have to be today? That kind of asking myself, like, it really kind of frustrated me. So that's why I kind of overtraded here. And most of your losses come from emotions. That's what I believe. If I have a pretty big loss, it usually comes from emotional trading. So emotions. When you're trading, emotions are very important. You have to control them. Um, and that's where all the bulk of your really bad trades come from emotions. So this was a loser in Mosey. What else did I trade? Let's see. S&P. What was this one? Um, see, I also played this name. Not sure exactly when. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when I played this, but um, I, I, I guess I guess I was playing it. Let's see. It was from ARPO or APRO. Oh, no, not this one. ARPO right here. Yeah, this one actually had halted. And actually ran in the past. So I guess it ran somewhat with SNMP that had some sort of similarities. Um, but not exactly. But they did run somewhat similar. So it was loss after loss. So um, I also played Tate the next day. Tate was another somewhat another play similar to Mosey and Leads. Not what Tate was very light. It has a really small float. Like Leads and Mosey. They were in this similar semiconductor uh, sector, and this I did play down here just under five, maybe in the 480s. This thing went to almost $6. Went in the next day. So I made some money off of it, but it just way too a little bit too light for my taste. But and as of right now, it's still kind of looks like still going high little by little, still holding its gains all the way from the mid fours to almost $6. So this is decent play. Just no volume, which I'm not really a fan of no volume plays, but because I couldn't get any size, for a trader like me, to get size, it's these really small plays just doesn't really fit my criteria. So my focus was, I want to play high volume plays where I could get size in. Let's see. Um, what else? But the majority of my losses just came from Monday. I just, after that, I just focused on the best setups, and that was it. Forget about my losses, to focus on the best setups, and just focus on just climbing back up. And that was my goal. My goal wasn't to make everything back, okay? Make everything back, from my loss, because apparently, that didn't work. I was over trading and emotions got me again. So that's why my focus was just to stay consistent and green throughout the entire week, um, and just kind of getting myself back together and focusing on my best trades. Let's see. See some of you guys questions. Any of your winner and losers good for us? Okay. Yeah, I mean winners and losers. You learn from both. I feel like you learn more. From the losers. I feel like losing is definitely one of your best mentors. You know, and some people think of mentors as an actual person or idol. But I would say the best mentor is are your failures. I feel like that's the best mentor. When when you dip buy, how much position do you buy? So I usually scale in. I with my account size, I usually trade at around 100 grand. Um, and if I were to dip buy, I usually scale in maybe 30K. And then if I see another dip, like so, I want to go over my METX trade on Friday. And METX wasn't my only trade. I had other trades too. So right here, um, when I dip bought, so an METX in the morning. So this is a 3 minute chart right here, and this is a 1 minute. So on the 1 minute, I'm like, okay, I actually scaled some in, just over 150 right here, just a little bit. And I was like, okay, if this dips under 150, I'm going to be adding more because it is support, somewhat support, intraday support right here, or from pre-market is around 150. And if I can get under 150, people will dip buy and it should start spiking after 150 breaks up again because that's a dip level. See if I could. So right here, my crosshairs. If you see right here in the pre-market, it touches this. Excuse me. So right here, this white line. If you see in the pre-market, what support is around 150, right? It likes to hang around just over 150. So in this case, I had some orders. I bought some scaled more in under 150, and then that's when, and I wasn't 100% in yet, right? My position wasn't big enough that satisfied me, so I was like, okay, this thing will spike. If it goes higher, great. If it doesn't, and if it dips again, that'll be great too. So it dipped back towards the low 150s, and mind you, my average is around 150. So if it goes under 150 or goes towards 140s, I'm out. That's my risk. So which is its previous pullback. So I had dip up the rest of my position in the low 150s. Um, and knowing my risk was around in 150 or under, that was my risk. So I'm only risking about a couple cents here. Okay. Um, and yeah, this thing went up. I actually sold some up here in the 160s. I want to let this pull back and see where it goes. I was thinking, okay, it should pull back towards the 1 minute 8 EMA, and it should reverse and go towards high day. In this case, didn't go high day quite. It looks pretty strong on the 1 minute, but within the next minute, it had a pretty ugly candle. Um, it looked like it was about the same size, if not, somewhat of the previous candle. So it's kind of undecisive right here. So traders are looking at this like, and even me looking like this. Okay, this doesn't look too strong compared to the previous two candles. So now I'm thinking I have to adapt real quickly. Within the next minute, if I don't make up a decision to make my next plan, um, you know, I, I would have to either probably get down out over here. So okay, so next thing is I'm risking 150 in the mid 150s, possibly VWAP. If it breaks on the VWAP, I'm out. So my previous risk was right here around 152, 150, and I when this spiked here, pulled back and went back up, my new risk is now on this pullback 158. So under 158, I'm out. And it did break under, so I'm out. I'm all out right here. I was still watching it, but then it looked really weak and just continued to fade. And I'm like, I don't think this thing can come back up. And plus, it's a Friday. Maybe if it was on like on a maybe Monday or Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, this thing would have worked out much better and definitely could see 170s and higher. But it was a Friday, so I guess there wasn't much, you know, volatility or enough strength to bring her up. So that was my trade on METX. I'm not getting the confidence in dip buy, but almost all my dip buys are keep going down. So one thing to notice is when you buy, before you buying the dip, know your risk, right? So before you get in any stock, um, either it's a dip or breakout play, you always want to have a risk. Where are you going to stop out? So in this case, when I bought this, I knew support, and also you want to recognize support. So as you can see in the pre-market right here, okay, Mr. Wizard, it was hanging around 150, right? So that would be a line of support, and I did bought. Now it did go under a little bit, but um, knowing that, okay, it should come right back up. So I bid dip bought around 150, 149, stuff like that. And knowing that, okay, well, if 150 support, well, what's going to go under, right? What's my risk? I just have an idea. Like if it goes under maybe one, so if I when I dip bought 149, 148, 150, I just risk off this previous candle low, which was 140, 147, just 148, 147. So if this next 1 minute candle goes under, it looks like it's about to go under. I can kind of assume that it's gonna go maybe back towards 145 and probably under. So that was my risk. So you always want to have risk before you enter or buy any stock or enter any stock. So, and with confidence, you just gotta have it. If you just gotta have the confidence, and once if you're not consistent with your winners for the month, like if you're consistently red, um, that should you should definitely look back towards your trades and see where you entered and where you exited, and kind of analyze your own trades and see where your weaknesses are, and what's the pattern, like how am I losing, why I'm not confident, where am I buying, and just kind of analyze yourself, your trades, um, and just improve on them and kind of say, okay, let me test this out. You don't have to play really big. When you're testing, your trades, you don't want to play big because it's not a strategy that you definitely master yet. So until you master the strategy, then you can add more size. But until then, you want to be going back. Okay, if you want to build your confidence, go back to your trades and analyze them. Detail by detail, where you entered and where you exited, and just find where your mistakes are one by one. When looking at sympathy plays, how do you decide where to get in? So with sympathy plays, I get a lot of I get a lot of questions on sympathy plays. Hold on, let me get some water. Something's wrong with my throat. All right. Um. So sympathy plays, how do you decide where to get in? On more obvious sympathies like Riot Mara, uh, costing me. It seems you can wait for a setup, but I see people post sympathies with no setups that just skyrocket straight up. Those seem like you just buy right away. Sympathies is more of a well, you're either what the first person or the second person to get in. If a sympathy skyrockets, either most likely it will have some sort of a dip and then rip right back up. Now, if it just goes up and then dumps right back down, that's more of a pump and dump play right there. Not really sympathy, but if it were to skyrocket, pull back, and just continue to go up and make new highs, mostly there's some traction or something's going on over there, right? So it's not a pure pump and dump. It's actually a play that's people are looking at and interested in. So like Mosey right here. This was a sympathy to leads. It had like if so, pay attention to the daily chart right here on Mosey. It had a nice run, pulls back, and continues higher the next couple days. Leads right here. If you look at leads, it looks quite similar right here. It has a first nice run, pulls back, and runs the third day, right? So same thing with Mosey. If you look at the daily chart right here, it had ran at about in early February right here, pulled back, pulled back again, and went right back up. Mosey right here, same thing. Um, in early February right here, pulled back further right here, and came right back up. So like, let's see. So, if you analyze LEDs, when LEDs had its first pullback, it had dropped at around 20 to 25% before the third day run or before the next run, right? So I'm gonna zoom in right here. So on the first run, pulled back at around 20 to 25% and went right back up. With Mosey here, I actually played it on the third day. Um, it wasn't quite ready. Now it had a nice, pullback. And I was kind of betting on the third day instead of the percentages, so it was only down about 15 to 10% from the first day. And I'm like, okay, well, it could run, but let's see what it does. And it didn't run. So came back down, and now this is around the 20% range dip. And what do you know? Did the same thing. It went up. So you want to be prepared for these patterns. You just have to know, um, and you have to be one of the first people to notice these because when when you okay, let's go back to Mosey before the run. Okay, so let's see right here. So people that knew, I was I knew about the run and that could potentially run. I was still watching it, but I guess I was a bit too early on this, and it dipped and just kind of dipped more. But then this was when it really went, and right here, it was kind of it had a small pop right here. It went back over four, pulled back, and I was like, wait a minute, this today could be the actual run right here. So you want to continue to stay keep these on watch, and that's the thing with these sympathies, you just have to know the patterns and just kind of like have a good guess when it's going to run and possibly run according to previous runners like leads. After the first day run on leads, it had pulled back around 20% before the next big run. Same thing with Mosey. After the first day run, it had pulled back about 10%, but it needed a little bit more, so pulled back 20%, and then the next time it ran. And you just got to know these plays and just kind of anticipate. By the time it already moved 20, 30, 40%, you already missed the play. you know that's only for scalpers and people that want to make money on these big moves. But if you want to the earliest and want to know these sympathies plays before most people, good traders know when to see okay when the potential run is. So so that's with sympathies. Do you find sympathies much on their first day sympathies? Do you find sympathy plays much on their first day sympathy? Let's see. Seems like you used to remember the names. Yeah, you want to compare the daily charts. Now sometimes they won't run like exactly like when Leds ran had his big day. Mosey didn't really run that much. If you look over here, it only ran from like like four to like 450. That was it. When Leds went from like over $10 that day. Um, Mosey didn't do anything, so it wasn't really ready. But it was still a sympathy play. But you know, sympathies don't have to run exactly the same, but they might have the same daily chart and setting up for the next potential move. Sympathy. When I say when I say sympathies, they don't have to remember. They don't have to run exactly on the same day, but you have to be able to figure out okay, well, when can they run? Soon it'll run if leads continue to goes. There has to be at least one of the name that has potential or the same potential setup to leads or to the main runner. And Mosey was one of the candidates. Would you say most of your sympathy plays are from past ones running together? Yes. Sympathies I haven't been really working right now. It's not very clear. They don't run at the same time, so it's kind of you have to kind of time these things. When the leads was up, Mosey just kept going down. But then leads again went up again, so Mosey actually finally ran and did its thing. So these sympathies are kind of tricky. Yes, look at the daily charts. That's important, and look at like I said, Mosey ran around early February. It didn't run exactly to leads, but it had a very similar theme or pattern to leads, and that's what made it sympathy. and traders were on watch for potential leads type of move. So now sometimes there will be movers like BTX. There weren't really clear sympathies with BTX, um, but did spark some momentum into the markets, like RHE. RHE was another big low float um, name that just continued to go from 4 to close to $25 within less than a week. So they don't have to always run similarly, but whenever you see really big runner, that doesn't mean 100%. Oh, there should be sympathy. It should also mean that, oh, okay, well, the market seems to be getting back up, starting to heat up again. And so that should be a cue, like, okay, what could go next, and what are low floats out there similar to this main run. What is the pattern strategy you can suggest for the beginners? Sympathy is pretty easy, but it can be very tricky. Um, for sympathies, you would have to go on. Thing is right here. So right here, I'll go on FinViz, and if I see LEDs going, I type in LEDs, okay, and I go to semiconductors. So I click this, and then right here, I just sort it out by market cap, and the lowest is Mosey, and the next one's the LEDs. What do you know? And then next is WISA, and then some other names over here. But Mosey would be I guess the next one, because they're very similar to LEDs and Mosey. You can play other names like WISA, but they're a little bit, they don't look to run very similar. So and the daily charts don't look as similar to LEDs, but Mosey and LEDs have most things in common. So I would look on those two. Um, and also for pattern, um, like I said, Mosey before the run it had a I like these wedge patterns a lot. These wedge. So before the run, let me just get like a good. So right, come on, right here. This is good enough. Is a wedge pattern. So you guys look right here, something like this. Kind of like a triangle. You want to look for these triangles. And I actually bought on this triangle here. I bought the dip right here around $4, and it went up, kind of got tight, and then that's when things really went. So you want to look for these triangles. Um, Also, you buy the dips. If it goes under, well, you just sell if it breaks under this trend line, and if it goes up, um, well, if it breaks over this trend line, it's a good indication. There's a good chance that this thing will go. So that's this very simple pattern, very easy. Um, Harv Basi, what's up, Richie? Can you go over your thoughts on why you jumped into Wafu? Wafu, let's see. I don't know if did I trade that. Wafu. If I were to trade Wafu, let's go back. Actually, hold on. It's not the right one. Right here. Okay, so with Wafu here, I think I entered right here. Like I said, the same thing on Mosey. I explained about a pattern, very easy pattern. Um, in this case, it was this little wedge right here. So if I were to play this, I don't exactly remember where I played this, but if I were to assume, it would have been around here. Um, getting into this dip right here, and then if I bought it broke out, there's a good chance that this thing will head higher. Pull it back one more time, and then continue higher the next. So actually, I did play over here. Actually, I did play. Because I remember now. This was on Friday, so I jumped in. I jumped in here around just under $8 on this pendant right here, this triangle, and I at the same time I was looking at JZXN, which was another Chinese name that was that halted multiple times, or actually just halted one time it seems. So halted, and now it's over 10. So it went from 9 to 10 to almost $15. And this is a Chinese name. So the only name that was kind of around JZXN price range was Wafu, and it was setting up. And this thing, well, it went from 8 to almost $10. So this was another name that was on watch, and that was the main reason why I traded Wafu, because of JZXN. They're not exact. They're not exact. I think there is sympathy because JZXN. I'm gonna see their sector. Yeah, no, it's actually they're not exactly sympathies, but they're China name. It's a China name, so they're not exact sympathies. They're not education names, education stocks like Wafu and the other Chinese names. But they had somewhat of a, Waffle was another decent name that was under $10, and that could run as JZX, like JZXN. So that's why I played it. And I entered it around $8 and sold this on this pop right here. I didn't play this all the way up here, but I did sell up here, close to in the high $8, so $8 to $9. Something I noticed with watching Cam's daily reviews is he describes things in the big picture kind of way. A lot of times he talks less about setups and more like, oh, I saw it, made this initial push, then came back, and that was conviction for me to get in. Do you find yourself playing just the setup, playing this just setup, or more of a big picture? I feel like I'm too narrow-minded or short-sighted. Yes, I mean, definitely. If you're only looking for patterns, that's just a basic play, a basic type of trading technique. Also, and looking for big picture is also very, very helpful. So yes, in a way, I look for big pictures. I also look for setups too every single day. So you kind of set it yourself. Um, if you're only trading for just patterns, and that's it. That's a strategy, but you also want to diversify in other types of plays, and look for also bigger plays too. So, um, see, Waffle did have a wedge yesterday. Yeah, as long as you recognize joking, Mr. Isaac, as long as you recognize the wedge, that's great. You see the pattern, that's great. You see the setup, selling a little too early, yes, that could be frustrating, but as long as you stay consistent, and you know those strategies that work, then you can go a little bigger and hold it and be more patient. So that's the one thing I had to deal with, in my early days of trading. I was going to these setups that I knew, like these wedges, right? And almost every single time, like I look back to my trades, I'm like, from my entries and exits, and I'm like, okay, well, they all seem to be working out, but I miss out on the really big move. So I just told myself, you know what? I'm just gonna hold a little bit more longer. If I see the next setup coming and I see another wedge, I'm gonna hold longer. I'm gonna be more patient. I'm gonna set my bar a little more higher, right? Because it seems to be working out well, right? So I don't want to be missing on the big move. Next time, I'm just gonna hold a little bit more longer. You know, like right here. When this broke out, it went to 840. It pulled back, and you're like, oh, it pulls back. Oh, I'm kind of getting scared. What if it goes all the way back down? Well, remember, you look at your previous, entries and exits in previous trades, and most of the time, maybe you find yourself a pattern. Oh, you're always getting out on the first pullback, and that's a pattern. You kind of see yourself and like, oh, okay, on the first pullback, I shouldn't be worried about it because most of the time it goes right back up, right? So now you just hold it a little bit more longer, and you get to see these really big gains up here. So being a little bit more patient and not getting out on the first pullback could be very good because if it's not just breaks out and never pulls back, I mean that's they will give no chance to the dip buyers. So give this stock a chance and let it go. Let it go and work itself out. um, Happy that I understood the pattern and played it. If I sized it a bit more, then it would have been a better day for me. Of course, of course. But that's good. You see the pattern, just keep at it. How long do you hold when the wedge pattern retest? Um, I know there's support on breakout levels, but I find a lot of the times it dips below that. Sometimes to the bottom of the wedge pennant, then moves up. Is it worth it to stop out on the bottom pennant trend line, or is that too wide of a stop? Well, remember, when it breaks under a pennant, you want to make sure that it closes under it. So if a candle closes under the pennant line, that's a very sure confirmation that the stock is likely to go under and break down on the VWAP or support levels. But if it were to stay within it, okay, remember you gotta wait for the candle to close under it. Okay, right here, like if like maybe right here, it starts getting very tight, and maybe this red candle closes under it, and now it's at 770 or 775. That's looking a little bit too weak. And it closed below the trend line, so I will stop out. But now if it didn't close, like maybe it went down to 770, but then it came right back up, and then the stock, and then not the stock, the candle, that it closed above or just at the trend line. So that means this trend is still there. It's still bullish. Well, not bullish, but like it's still within the trend. So you want to watch for these. You want to have timing. So right here, if you guys see this time right here, you want to make sure that within the 1 minute, um, you kind of saying, okay, it has 30 seconds left. Okay, 30 seconds until the next minute candle. Well, now if it's way under, like if it's like 12, if it's 24.50, and you have 10 seconds, and the stock is still at like 770. Okay, then start scaling out a little bit. But when it looks like you see a lot of bidders, and it comes right back up. Now 10 seconds left, and then it closes in or within the trend line above it, then you're still good. It's still in trend. And then with the next candle, usually it comes right back up and breaks out because people thought it got faked out, right? People thought it was going to go under. It broke under it, but then there were dip buyers strong on this and dip buy it right back up. And the people that all sold right here, now is looking to buy the next candle because they got faked out. Oh, now it closes. That's just confirmation that it's going to go up now. They end up buy it, and that's when the breakout happens sometimes. More in the 1 minute because it's more, during this really tight wedge right here. When it gets really tight, you want to use a shorter time frame. 3 minute is, well, it's kind of more of a longer, so like more of a bigger picture, more clear picture. In this case, on 3 minute, it still was, I guess you could apply to 3 minute too. So with a 3 minute, it gets clear. It's a bit more clear on the 3 minute because on the 1 minute, it kind of looks, looks kind of funny, right? But they still within right here. So when things get really tight, 1 minute, and then for a bigger picture, like if you're still not kind of confident, you can use a 3 minute. So, but yeah, usually 1 minute to find these really quick plays, and 3 minute for a more bigger picture. Also, with 3 minute, I can see the EMAs over here. So if it were to dip, I mean the next dip level will be around 770. All right, guys. All right, guys. Well, that's my week so far. I'm still red on the week, but at the same time, I'm kind of, I still focused on, consistency, and I did that. I forgot about my big loss. So for those that have, really big losses, or they're just, um, remember, you know, if when you have a big loss, the stock market's closed, can't do nothing about it, right? You can't, when stock market closed, you can't just keep thinking about it and just kind of beating yourself up. You know, what you can do for sure is, you can focus on the next day and do it over and over. Focus on consistency and forget about the day that you just had. So yeah, I'm kind of happy with my week, despite being red. And I learned myself a lot, and I made some new rules to make sure that I don't do that again. After that, I think after that day, I got some pen and paper, or I got actually not pen, I got a marker and some paper, and I wrote down new rules and post them and stick them up on my wall. So whenever I'm trading, I can see, and it definitely helps me, and just kind of say, okay, all right, Richie, you can't be doing that. You have one, two, three, four, five rules. Make sure you follow that, and so you don't, screw yourself again. And that's what I did. That's all I did. I didn't care about making all my money back, because when I did that, it didn't. It just brought me back to the same place where, oh, I have to make my money back. I still remember my big loss, so that's not good. So make sure whenever you have a big loss or a really bad day, try to forget as much as possible and just focus on improving whatever it takes. Pen and paper, anything, and just stick to being consistent, and getting back up on your feet. So, all right, guys. All right, guys. Hope you learned something. And yeah, thank you guys for coming on. So yeah, see you guys next week. And yeah, thanks.